A great giant that strode the world like a colossus. That's how President Tambo describes the seemingly greater-than-life ANC stalwart in a book Oliver Tambo remembered. Good afternoon and welcome to Alber Road Recreation Park in the London borough of Haringey. It's a council that embraced some of the prominent figures during the struggle against apartheid. It's also a council that embraced Oliver Tambo and his wife Adelaide. It was in 1960 when OR was instructed to travel abroad to establish an external mission for the ANC. The idea was to mobilize international support and coordinate the years of underground struggle that would follow. He set up home here for his family while he traveled extensively, educating the international community about the injustices of the then South African regime while keeping the ANC together. Today, the Haringey Council celebrates and commemorates his life with Oliver Tambo Memorial. In the next hour, we'll bring you events as they unfold here. The First Ladies, Anel Mbeki, the Minister in the Office of the President, Esop Pahad, British Justice Minister Jack Straw, members of Parliament from South Africa and Britain, the Oliver Tambo family are some of the many dignitaries who travelled far and wide for this occasion. Let's now take a look at this background.
When Nelson Mandela and Oliver Tambo travelled to London in 1962, they spoke of their hopes that a statue of a black person would be erected alongside the others outside the House of Commons. In August, Madiba travelled to see his likeness be unveiled on the site outside Parliament.
Oliver would have been proud today if he were here.
Oliver Tambo spent 3 decades in exile. His family made London its home, so it is perhaps fitting that his statue be located in the borough of Haringey, where he lived with his wife and children. Oliver used this house as his base as he travelled the world, boosting the profile of the ANC, setting up missions in more than 24 countries. His wife Adelaide ran the family home and worked as a hospital nurse locally. When he was in London, Oliver was a major figure at the anti-apartheid rallies in Trafalgar Square outside South Africa House. Inside the High Commission, a mural of images from those protests shows him encouraging the crowds. The link to London, and more particularly to the borough of Haringey, is one that was valued by both the Tambos. In 1990, before they left to return to South Africa, Oliver and Adelaide were awarded the Freedom of the Borough. They were the first recipients of this prestigious honour.
Obviously, there was tremendous change going on in South Africa, and we realised that these two very prominent people would be leaving us to go home. So we felt it important, in recognition of all the work they'd done throughout the anti-apartheid struggle, to honour them in this way.
Earlier this year, following Ma Tambo's death, Haringey Council held a minute's silence in her honour.
Thank you.
Haringey Council, in conjunction with the South African High Commission, has also inaugurated a science award in Oliver Tambo's honour. Tembi Tambo travelled to London to present the inaugural winners with their prizes.
I think that for him, the joy would come from the fact that he studied science. He was a physicist, and then he taught science. So to have this kind of relationship with Haringey and with the schools in Haringey, and to see young people taking up that sort of baton, becoming enthralled with science and loving it the way he loved it, I think that would be something that would have excited him quite a lot.
The statue being unveiled today is based on this Ian Walters bust, which is displayed inside South Africa House. It will gaze out over Albert Road Recreation Park, where Oliver used to play tennis and the Tambo children would relax. The memorial park surrounding the statue will remember other South African anti-apartheid campaigners who made their temporary home in Haringey. Suzanne Chislett, SABC News in London.
Well, that was the park a few weeks ago, and this is the park now. And what you hear in the background is the national anthem that's sung by a choir that travelled also from South Africa. But at this stage, let me introduce to you Mike Terry, the Secretary General of the anti-apartheid movement in London for 20 years. He'll be with us throughout the show. Good afternoon, Mike.
Good afternoon.
It's nice to have you here, and tell us a little bit about the background to this event today.
Well, it's a lovely story. It's an occasion to honour and remember Oliver Tambo. Tambo's home was just a few hundred yards up the road from where we are now, and we've just come from the ceremony where the plaque was unveiled. And the statue that's being unveiled, the bust, was made by the same sculptor, Ian Waters, who made the statue of Nelson Mandela, which was unveiled just a few weeks ago in London. And the bust is part of a memorial, and the memorial is to remember and honour and celebrate the life of Oliver Tambo in this, what would have been his 90th anniversary.
I'm very tempted. You were the Secretary General of the anti-apartheid movement for 20 years here in London. Just very briefly, what drew you to take part in that movement?
I think there were two things. First of all, there were the injustices of apartheid, what apartheid meant. And the other thing was the way in which there was too much support from this country for the white regime, for the apartheid regime. And a lot of people in this country realised that change would come quickly in South Africa and could have come much quicker if there had been real pressure on the apartheid regime, real effective measures. And of course Oliver Tambo, if you like, headed the international solidarity movement as well as the ANC in raising people's awareness across the world that that kind of action was required.
And of course last night we witnessed the launch of a book, a project. You were very much involved in it. Yeah. But at this stage, let's just, there was that presentation by Gcina Mhlophe last night, which was quite moving.
Yes, absolutely, and we've just had the same or similar one now. And I think it's significant that for people in this country that they appreciate some of the history of South Africa and the culture of South Africa, because we enrich ourselves if we understand each other's cultures.
Let's just get a clip of what Gcina presented last night.
They represent in Africa, the Commonwealth, and in Scandinavia.
Sitting there, Zintombi, no Yana be Africa, Siatebisa. Sawuzama ukuzikhumbula sizikhumbulise imfundiso zenu sawuzama ukubambana ngezandla sivuselelane sivakale kuvakala inswahla yamazwi ethu enkilokiloza kuvuye nditsho neentaka zezulu apho sisitsho sithi mfoka Tambo sikhokhele Tambo sakhilizwe lethu sithi sikhokhele mfoka Tambo sakhe sivuselele isizwe sethu sitsho sithi sikhokhele mfoka Tambo